Thank you all for joining me. I have new subscribers. Thank you. I appreciate that. If you are only subscribed on YouTube, could you please subscribe on Rumble and vice versa? And I'll tell you why. Because at some point, I'm probably going to get kicked off of, I would think, YouTube for the words that you use. For example, we're going to talk about a pedophile in the ministry today. And I don't know if pedophile is a word that you can say without getting kicked off. So even though the videos on YouTube and Rumble are identical, at least if you subscribe to both, even though both are not monetized, at least then if you subscribe to both and they get kicked off of one, then at least you have the option to go to the other. So let's start with 1 Timothy 6:10. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil, for which some have strayed from the faith in their greediness and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. And when we think about all of these prosperity gospel pastors, I mean, that passage just fits right in. So I wanted to talk about something that was out in the news probably about a month or so ago. I think it was spoken of again, but we're going to talk about it today. Robert Morris is a pedophile. She was 12. He was an adult. That is what he is. But calling someone a pedophile is probably terminology that might get me kicked off, but I'm not going to sugarcoat something. If that's what it is, that's what it is, right? We don't want to call sin sin. We want to dance around it because we don't want to make people feel bad. But if the story that CBS reported is true back in September on the verbal agreement for wages, the people who attended Gateway and gave money should be outraged. And Robert Morris and his family should be outraged. If that is true, that there was a verbal agreement that he would get $800,000 a year till age 70, and after that $600,000 a year for his wife should he pass away. If those numbers are true, you're disgusting, plus a pedophile. I mean, don't you feel bad for him? I mean, how in the world could you possibly live on a measly sum of $800,000 a year? I mean, that's basically eating buttered saltine noodles, am I right? So the story went on to say that according to court documents, now there probably was a verbal agreement actually, because otherwise the lawyer wouldn't have been asking for money. But there was a court record that was filed that it was $170,000 a year that he was to obtain in salary post retirement. I don't think I know anybody that gets $170,000 in their pension or anything like that post retirement. But I looked it up to see what percentage of the population lives on $170,000 a year. 10% of the US population lives on $170,000 a year. So if the verbal agreement is true and the numbers were 800K and 600K a year, that's utterly disgusting, which is why I shared the passage from Timothy that I shared. If that was a verbal agreement, you're disgusting and a pedophile. And if you gave money to that ministry, you should be outraged that somebody who is retired would make $800,000 a year. I don't really think you're interested in the ministry if that's the salary you have asked for in a verbal agreement. You're disgusting, and I don't mind saying it. So if you've not subscribed on both, please do, because I do think that when you use words like pedophile, that could be something that would get you kicked off sites, but it's true. But nowadays, everybody is offended by truth, but it is what it is. So I just thought we would take a moment to talk about that. When it talks about have wandered away from the faith, I mean, that is the perfect example. And there are so many others. And I'm not saying we're going to talk about them, but that is the perfect passage to fit this prosperity gospel pastorship that is run rampant through the church. Armor up, we ride at dawn. May God bless you as always. Have a great day.